Joining me now is the Battlefield Fight League featherweight champion, captured that crown against Nick Willett just a few months ago. He is Mateo Vogel. Mateo, thanks for joining me today, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Now, the first time we got to see you in British Columbia, I was cage side, Battlefield Fight League 72 against Nick Willett. You stepped into enemy territory. A lot of people thought, his jiu-jitsu was going to prove the better of you, and some of the best grappling exchanges we've seen. Before we get to that fight, I want to go back to your childhood, man. Like, tell me where you grew up, how you grew up,
Sure.
you into other sports, how you got into combat sports. Just tell me about your childhood, man.
Cool, man. Yeah, I've been doing sports since I was a kid. Like my parents had me in that. Well, I was a hyper kid. I was very much an ADHD kid. Um, but yeah, man, like I got into sports as far back as I can remember. So I've been like an athlete all my life, but I got into combat sports through wrestling in school. Well, I got into that because I don't know, I had problems with other kids and stuff too. You know what I mean? Like a lot of us do. I would get into martial arts, so that kind of spurred my interest, but I was also like super into watching UFC with my dad and my cousin, and yeah, man. So I from there, like I always liked watching the Gracies and stuff. So like there just so happened to be there was a Henzo Gracie gym here, like in my city, and that's kind of like how I got my start into MMA, which quickly turned into just like pure jujitsu for 8 years,
How
right?
how
So
how old were you when that all started?
well, I started with school wrestling first. So I started with school wrestling, and I was like 12, turning 13. And
Okay.
then that I was like, okay, sick. I want to do jiu-jitsu, and then jiu-jitsu when I was 14.
We see Cobra Kai and all that kind of stuff, and they say leave it in the dojo, right? Did that
What
happen for you when you first started, or did you take it to school,
do you mean? What do you mean?
like the martial arts?
Uh, half half, kind of. Like I don't know. I didn't have to use it that much, but there's like the odd time that I had to choke somebody out here and there. But yeah,
So grow.
I think I've been in more. Well, yeah, like I've been in maybe more street fights in the past like 2 years even
Oh
than
yeah.
those years. Yeah.
Is it because you're the MMA guy? Like, do you think that brings it on, kind of thing, or?
I hope not because like it's pretty stupid. Don't pick on the cauliflower ear guys, man. It's usually the opposite, no? But like,
You'd think
yeah,
so.
I think so. I think alcohol is the main reason, to be honest with you.
100%. You ever have any difficulties in those street fights, or is it a much easier road than inside the cage?
Oh man, no, I fuck shit up. Yeah.
So you said 8 years of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Did you compete throughout those 8 years, and what belt did you get to before you transitioned to MMA?
Gotcha. Yeah. So about 7, 8 years just competing in jiu-jitsu nonstop. Like I was just doing like competition circuits and
Yeah.
the gi kind of like IBJF jiu-jitsu throughout the US and throughout Canada, and like traveling to compete very, very often and just racking up medals, racking up matches, racking up experience. And I began to make my transition uh, in the midst of a transition of teams. So like, there was a bit of an exodus from the team I was with before, and that's where Crew Jeff Harrison and myself both left from, as well as Peter Physique as my coach, my jiu-jitsu coach. Um, so the we had left there and kind of formed a new era out of out of by just linking up outside of that. We were no longer at that old other place, and so a few other gyms have kind of been born out of that, like out of that like exodus, if you will. But yeah,
Yeah.
like I got linked up with Crew Jeff, and like Crew Jeff always knew that I wanted to do MMA, and I'd always, it was my main goal long term. And like he was telling me, like him and I did a roll one day, and he's like, "Bro, you got to do it now. We're gonna transition right now." And I was like, I want to do this tournament and that tournament. He's like, "No, fuck that. You got to do it now." I'm like, "All right, let's go." And he like legit following day, we're in the park because we didn't have a gym. We were in the park like hitting pads. running up the ski hill and like hitting pads in a gazebo.
That's hilarious. So I noticed on your Tapology page, it has no amateur info. Did you have
I
any
didn't.
amateur fights, or did you go straight pro?
I didn't. No, I didn't fight. Well, you know what? I did one Muay Thai tournament once after I trained striking for 3 months, 2.5 months.
Nice. And then your first fight I see is against James Clark. He's fought inside the battlefield cage before. He's fought for a number of promotions. He's well, tries to be active on the scene. He's looking pretty good in his days now, and you picked up a victory over him in your debut. Went on to
I
win a
did.
bunch, and then obviously made your way up here to BC for your last fight, like I said, against Nick Willett. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that fight. Stepping into enemy territory. What were your thoughts coming into BC? Obviously, you weren't getting the crowd ovation in front of the British Columbia fans. So, what was that like stepping into enemy territory?
Bro, well, my first few fights were in Quebec. I'm used to that shit. You know what I mean? Like, the only time I've had like a big ovation, like walking out, was in Kitchener.
Okay,
Weirdly enough, that was it. But like, I've always been fucking enemy territory, man. Everybody votes against me.
that's
Like
hilarious.
these guys are putting out the stat that man, they're putting out the stat that I've got like a really good record as the favorite, but what they don't look at is the fact that I fucking won as the underdog so many times. I've been voted against like since the get go. BC, like, but you guys like, or everyone out in BC, like they were, I don't know. I think they all just support their own guys and like they're loyal, right? They support their own guys, but they do it to like a point where it's a little unrealistic. It's like, uh, I don't know. Like they severely fucking underestimated me against Willette.
I
Not
mean,
not
a lot of Willette's opponents were underestimated. He definitely does have a great ground game, and it's something that a lot of his opponents don't have.
fucking so
But
do I.
what it seemed like was they didn't think you had any ground game.
It was just weird, man. I don't understand. But what I don't know. I think I proved otherwise. I've been doing jujitsu probably longer than Nick Willette. You know what I mean? And you know what? I'm not taking anything away from him. He's actually really good at jiu-jitsu. I've rolled with and drilled with and sparred with high level black belts, and I'm not talking about MMA black belts. I'm talking about competition
Yep.
BJJ pure black belts. People who you've seen only on YouTube. I've rolled with like high level guys. Nick Willette's really freaking good, man. You know what I mean? His jiu-jitsu is legit, and I don't take anything away from that guy. You know, he's a dangerous grappler. The only comments I made at the end of the fight is like they need to stop fucking voting for me to lose every time.
No kidding. And the thing is coming into this one, you got Taylor Christopher. I'm sure you've seen the stories. He's highly touted as well. What do you think about the lead up to this one?
I'm actually excited, man. I think he doesn't have as much professional experience, but I'm not like banking on that. With Taylor Christopher is he's more of a mystery. You don't really have much recent footage of him, so I don't really like to hang my I don't like to make presumptions and kind of hang it uh, on footage, especially when there's nothing really like new and relevant. So like this guy could be coming out the gate all kinds of ways, and so I'm more focused on like myself. That's how preparation works for me. All I care about is my game plan, my championship game plan, my mentality, my strategy, my stuff. I, that's what I mainly focus on. I look internally. Sure, I'm still going to learn about the opponent, still do the intel and like and study and whatnot, but ultimately, man, I care about my game and showing off my skills. So
Do you
that's the
do
main
that?
thing.
Are you the one that watches the tape, or do you let your coaches sort of figure out his game and put that towards you rather than
We all
yourself,
do.
the one studying it?
We all do. We all sit down and watch it. Like any opponent I'm going against, we all sit down and watch it. You know what I mean? Like we have a little meeting about it, and like yeah, we're smart game planners on my team too. Like the little trio of myself, Jeff, and Peter, like we come up with sharp game plans. And also, when I get the chance to work with my wrestling coach Chris, same thing. Like we're able to sit down and really break things down on a technical level. Yes, we break down opponents, but what matters most is what Mateo's going to do. Yeah, and then what happens like when you make presumptions about people. This is what I think. When you make like you have a pre-assumed idea in your head of what's going to happen. Okay, and then suddenly the guy doesn't do it. What do you do now? You sit there and you shit your pants if he doesn't do what you expected him to do. You know what this is fighting. It's not like it's not a perfect. It's not a math. Like it's not a, you can't plug fighting math in like that.
No, and a
You know
lot
what I
of
mean?
people try to do that, right? They say MMA math, but it never ends up working out. You see, this guy beat this guy beat this guy lost to this guy, but couldn't beat this guy. It never ends up working out the way you think it
That's
will.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at Anderson Silva. Like that guy lost to guys you never would have thought he would lose to, and then he ended up doing it, right? And he was the best of all time at the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Somebody as good as him is also prone to falling to somebody else's level, I think.
For sure, definitely. So I got to ask before we talk about Taylor Christopher a little more. That Nick Willett fight was a majority decision. When the judges' scorecards were read, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but you've gone back and you've looked at tape. What were your thoughts when you heard the majority decision?
Um, well, once they said the word majority, I knew I had it, but the only time I had anxiety was when the middle judge was announced. When it was like when it was I thought that was going to be a draw, and I was
Yeah,
like, my heart was sunk, right? But yeah, when he said for your winner, I just knew because it was a bit of relief, but in those moments, like you're still wondering. Anytime it's a decision, you don't know because even if it feels like you won, you might not have won.
especially
Um,
especially in another province, you never know.
mhm. That's just it. That's just it. Like I'm on enemy soil, so like letting it go to the judges' scorecards is nerve wracking. Even before they start announcing, and so yeah, like I was shitting bricks a little bit, but when they said majority, I was relieved. Like I knew I had done what I had to do in the later rounds.
Yep.
I knew exactly which rounds he won, and then I knew what I had to do. This is kind of a recent development for me. Is just kind of knowing what I have to do to win it for the judges as well, which I hate doing. I hate leaving it to the judges. It sucks.
Of course,
I prefer.
and a lot of your fights have ended by submission. Obviously, there's a few decisions there, but you haven't had a knockout or a TKO. Or are you looking for one of those?
If it comes, it's gonna land itself.
For sure, and
I've
as it hasn't happened, but you do have hands, and guys, you bloody people up, so it's bound to happen
guys,
sooner or later.
guys keep trying to grapple me. I don't understand. It's you know what I mean. It's something I've been asking myself for a while. I'm like, why do they keep trying to do it? You know, but like I'd love to show that off. That side of my game. Like I train with such high level friggin' strikers all the time, and since the get go, like I never got to train with other bums. I started striking with like other striking champions immediately.
Are you able
Like
to?
so,
Do
like
you travel around, or do you just stick with your gym? Like Ontario's got some pretty damn good clubs out at it now. Are you able to move around, or do you stick with just your home base?
I mainly stick to the home base. I've got New Era, and I've got uh, I also sometimes go to a wrestling club, NCWC, National Capital Wrestling Club. That's what I got in Ottawa. And then Crew Jeff and I do some traveling here and there. We go to Toronto
Yeah.
every couple months. I had been going a couple times to House of Champions, uh, but yeah, training with some of the high level guys there. Doing rounds with UFC fighters, doing rounds with other guys my size, and there's really great partners out there. So yeah, I do some traveling.
Nice. Now, coming out to BC, are you going to make the trip early? Obviously, does time frame or time zone or any of that kind of stuff matter to you?
Well, I'm actually pretty good at adjusting. Like last time, I actually adjusted my clock in the weeks leading up to the fight.
Smart.
I my natural kind of clock, like just going to bed later, waking up a little later, actually kind of living on that time a little bit for the weeks leading up to the event.
For sure. Now, as we said, Taylor Christopher is the guy you've got next. You said you don't see, you haven't you're building yourself. You're not building around what he's done because he hasn't been extremely active lately. In fact, he hasn't fought since 2021. He had a few canceled bouts. So you're not building off of what he has, but you're building off of what you're going to do to him. How do you see this fight playing out without giving away your game plan? Obviously, you don't want to leave it in the judge's hands. Do you expect him to grapple with you like you said earlier?
He seems to be proud of his wrestling, so uh, sounds like he's gonna try to wrestle me. And if you want to wrestle, let's wrestle. But at this point, I'm Gucci wherever it goes, man. I don't really care. I'm not. I don't feel like I lack in any area. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm ready to smash everywhere.
Are you a full-time MMA fighter? Do you have a day job?
I train.
You train?
I teach some classes to make some money, but I make fuck all. I live in my mom's basement and I chase golden belts. I chase my dream like that. I chase my dreams. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm living a bit of a. I'm living. I'm all in, man. I'm not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like I've been all in since I was young, and like I'm making the most of it. I haven't done much else with my life, so you know what I mean. Like I've been fully devoted with. I've been fully devoted to this since I was really young.
For sure, your record is 6-2. A victory over Taylor Christopher would make you 7-2. Do you think that pushes you to that next sort of level where you enter the talks with the big shows?
I think it does. I want to again like it's an opportunity to showcase my skills. I want to smash, man. Like I'm not here for. I'm not here to pick and choose opponents and try to, get easy wins. I'm here to smash all the dogs. I'm here to smash the good guys. I'm of the belief that get hard fights now and prove that you belong there now. So by the time you get there, you're not just like you're not just anybody in the pack. Like you're ready to jump ahead in the pack. I want to take out high level competition as soon as I can. So that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to finish people in devastating fashion. I'm looking to smash.
That's a great mindset because you hear a lot of guys, padding their records to get that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-0, in order to
Everybody.
get onto the contender series, and then they show up and they look like bums against the guy that they compete against. So you're looking to build that record off of notoriety. Is it contender series, UFC, or bust, or the other big shows, money talks kind of thing?
Yeah, I'll think about it, but I want to be in the UFC, man. Like it's why settle for something else? I want to be in the UFC. It's a goal of mine since I was a kid. I watched George St. Pierre since I was a kid, and I watched George St. Pierre get that gold belt around his waist. So that's what I've been looking at since I was young. Like my vision stays the same. I'm not going to let it kind of deviate. So for me, like number one is UFC.
In a perfect world, this fight plays out the way you want it to. It's October 12th, 2022. Do you have another fight this calendar year if all goes well, or if you're in talks with other promotions, do you hold out till 2023?
I'm still with BFL at this point, so I get the job done October 12th, and then I'm fucking right back in there. Uh, Hopefully December. I'm ready to rock in December again. So
Well, we can't wait to see you in there. It should be an awesome matchup. As you said, you think he's going to grapple you. We saw the amazing grappling exchanges you had against Nick Willett the last fight. Just let people know where they can find you on social media if they want to keep up with you. The floor is yours, man.
you guys can follow my Instagram, Kahapatu MMA, CARRAPATO MMA, no spaces. And that's just on Insta.
Good luck, man.
Thank you, brother.